Happy New Year, guys! That's right, 2024 is here. It is going to be the year of UFO disclosure or something. Hopefully, maybe, we'll see. But let's talk about writings and wisdom passed down from aliens or non-humans. This is going to be huge, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, this was sent to me by a viewer. It's very cool. And we're going to talk about wisdom and writings passed down by aliens or non-humans, other terrestrials, other dimensionals, that sort of thing. Well, what wisdom do they have to share? What are they teaching people? What wisdom are they handing down? Well, let's discuss. From the Global Intelligence Files, I had not heard about this, but on Monday, February 27th, 2012, WikiLeaks began publishing the Global Intelligence Files, over 5 million emails from the Texas-headquartered global intelligence company Stratfor. The emails date between July 2004 and 2011. They reveal the inner workings of a company that fronts as an intelligence publisher, but provides confidential intelligence services to large corporations such as Bhopal's Dow Chemical Corporation, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and government agencies, including the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Marines, and the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency. The email shows Stratfor's web of informers, payoff structure, payment laundering techniques, and psychological methods. And they also talk about UFOs and some interesting stuff related to that. I haven't really had time to dig into it very deeply yet, but this is really interesting. Check this out. Artifacts with ET writings discovered near Tunguska meteorite site. That's crazy. And this is from an email, leaked by this WikiLeaks thing. From these guys, and this is from 2007. Artifacts with ET writings discovered near Tunguska meteorite site. Artifacts, scientists from the Siberian city of Krasnoyarsk, I said that right, claim they have discovered several artifacts with extraterrestrial writings near the fall site of the Tunguska meteorite. The Ragnar news agency reports. The president of the Tunguska Space Phenomenon Research Foundation told reporters that several quartz boulders with mysterious writings on them were found in the Tunguska River Basin in 2006. The boulders were tested there and also in Moscow, and test results speak for the fact that they are of ET origin, he said. I'd like to know exactly how they determine that. Is that from the isotopes, etc., where it cannot be, of earthly origin? I don't know. The boulders were covered in strange signs of artificial origin, possibly made with plasma. Russian researchers suggested a hypothesis that the quartz tablets, here they call them boulders, here they call them tablets, were part of an information container delivered to Earth by the ET spaceship that crashed in the Tunguska region in 1908. We don't really know if that was a ET event or not, but that's what it's saying here. Russian researcher also said that scientists from the U.S., Britain, France, and Germany have requested the newly found artifacts for research, but Russians want to be the first people to decode the message from another civilization. So isn't that amazing? There could be quartz tablets with alien writing on them in Russia. That's nuts. And people know about it. The U.S. knows about it. Others know about it, and they want to know what's going on. Why isn't this all over the news media? Why isn't this a national headline? Well, of course, it's like everything else in this field. It's been covered up and suppressed. Assuming the story is real. I have no reason to doubt it at this point. I've seen so many weird things like this over the years, and It wouldn't surprise me if there were quartz tablets written by aliens in Russia being studied right now. What are they finding out? Have they been able to decode them or find out the information in them? Well, I don't know, but let's go over some other possible examples of aliens passing on information to humans. We'll start with the Hammurabi Code, the secret history of humanity. And this is really cool. This is from a remote viewing session from the Future Forecasting Group. Great group of remote viewers. They're the ones that predicted the Israel attacks a week before they occurred, and they've had so many great viewings, and they have very talented remote viewers. Daz Smith, for example, I think has an over 90% accuracy rating. Dick Allgaier also is very good. They're all very good. And when you have many of them all seeing the same thing, that information is very solid. And they were all seeing an ET origin for the Hammurabi Code, as in, this information or this wisdom was passed down to humans from the beings. They were all seeing an off-world explanation for the Code of Hammurabi, and which is this artifact here, right there. This is crazy artifact. And here's details from it. Here's the actual writing. You can see, what the actual writing looks like. From Wikipedia, the Code of Hammurabi is a Babylonian legal text composed in the 1755 to 1750 BC. It is the longest, best organized, and best preserved legal text from the ancient Near East. It was written in the Old Babylonian dialect of Akkadian, purportedly by Hammurabi, sixth king of the first dynasty of Babylon. The primary copy of the text is inscribed in the basalt stele. Modern scholars responded to the code with admiration at its perceived fairness and respect for the rule of law, and at the complexity of old Babylonian society. There was also much discussion of its influence on the Mosaic law. Scholars quickly identified lex talionis, the eye for an eye principle, underlying the two collections. There it is. It's this old legal text in, a guide of commerce and legality from the ancient world. Could this be wisdom passed down by aliens and how humans should conduct our affairs, treating each other fairly and with respect? An eye for an eye, for example, might seem extreme, but that seems to be, mollifying the existing mentality of one eye, or take 20 eyes for one eye. Extreme violence in response to any aggression. So this was, an eye for an eye is, a fair exchange, right? So, that is interesting and fascinating to consider that these remote viewers are all seeing an off-world explanation for this code. They were also getting a lot of information on Hammurabi, the sixth king of the first dynasty of Babylon. He was probably not a super nice guy, and it's unclear about the beings that he was in touch with, if they were indeed the ones that were passing this information on to him. And they seem to have been. He seemed to have been given some technology by the beings, seemed to be their chosen, vessel for this information and this power. One remote viewer was seeing them as more enlightened beings. One viewer was seeing them as more sinister. So that part is unclear, but they were all seeing an ET origin for the Code of Hammurabi, which may have been designed to encourage humans to treat each other fairly and to establish a system of commerce and law. While we're talking about the Future Forecasting Group and remote viewing, they did an amazing viewing on Maria Orich, the very enigmatic leader of the Vril Society. Many of you will be familiar with her picture and some of the information about her. They were getting that she was a very enlightened and powerful being connected to ETs and other forces, and that she was channeling information from them that was meant for a noble purpose, but was hijacked by the Third Reich and put to ignoble use. But they were all, very impressed by this woman, especially Dick Allgaier, who had a very moving viewing of her, including what he saw as a tragic end. Her end has always been mysterious. Many people think she went off-world in 1945 at the end of the war, and that she went to possibly her home planet. Well, that's not, unfortunately, what Dick was seeing, and I will let you, if you were a future forecasting member, view that full viewing at your leisure. I don't want any spoilers, but yeah, it was a tragic ending from what Dick was seeing. But one of the interesting things that they were seeing was that they were getting a message, and the message was, or she was getting these words, Rosarium. One viewer chimed in that Rosarium could refer to this. This is a transcription of the 18th century English translation of the Rosarium in M.S. Ferguson 210. The text was originally printed as part 2 of Die Alchemia. I'm not going to be able to say that the rest of that phrase. Contained a series of 20 woodcuts from 1515. You can go through it all, but it is they are alchemical texts. Here beginneth the book of the Rosary of the Philosophers, most diligently compiled and brought into one volume. They who desire to have the most true knowledge of the greater science of the philosophical art, let them diligently peruse this little book, and oftentimes read it over, and they shall obtain their prosperous and wished desire. I have not read it, full disclosure. I will let you guys read it, and if you have, please chime in with your thoughts on it. But this is a very possible, you maybe channeled information, or possibly the beings were directing Maria to this information, this alchemical information. Fascinating, obviously hard to corroborate. This is a remote viewing of channeled information from a long time ago. So, who knows? But fascinating to consider. Other possible wisdom to have come down in text form from beings is the Emerald Tablet of Thoth. This fascinating writing here, the Emerald Tablet, also known as the, is a compact and cryptic Hermetic text. It was highly regarded by Islamic and European alchemists as the foundation of their art, though attributed to the legendary Hellenistic figure Hermes Trismegistus. The text of the Emerald Tablet first appears in a number of early medieval Arabic sources, the oldest of which dates to the late 8th century or early 9th century. It was translated into Latin several times in the 12th and 13th centuries. And it goes on, the various versions, early Latin versions, comments, the table of emerald and its legendary discovery are mentioned for the first time, etc. But yeah, so the idea, the reason I wanted to present this to you is because if you're familiar with Matias de Stefano, the young man who can recall his past lives and has access to the Akashic records, he claims in a past life in Atlantis to have met Thoth. That's right, the gentleman that wrote the Emerald Tablets. This is Matias, and he has appeared several times on Aubrey Marcus and other channels. He has his own channel where he has some really incredible information, although hard to understand information to pass on to us. It is very much like listening to alchemy or something. And it's amazing and it's fascinating and it's dense. But yeah, on his own channel, you can listen to him describe these very esoteric concepts. But yeah, he purports to have recall of a life in Atlantis, and he can even sing songs in Atlantis. He seems to have genuine abilities, which gives a lot of credence to what he says. There are multiple people who have seen him do incredible things like control the weather, summon fire, and other various trippy things, more very metaphysical. People are having transcendent experiences at ceremonies that he has presided over in Egypt and other places. So, and I have some additional information about him as well. It's just super, super fascinating. I am really, really intrigued by Matias. I'm a big Matias fanboy. I would love to meet him at some point. But yeah, so he claims to have met Thoth, who he says was a human, but he was part of an order in Atlantis that was, possibly a priest class or something like that, and they were highly connected spiritually to beings, to non-human beings. Call them spiritual beings or higher dimensional beings or aliens or whatever word they are, whatever they are, whatever the beings are that were in touch with the people of Atlantis of the time. Thoth was possibly their leader of the humans in interacting with these beings, and this information from the Emerald Tablets comes from that interaction. And it's very occult. It's very esoteric. It's all about alchemy, just like the Rosarium. And I'm not an expert on the Emerald Tablets or Emerald Tablet. I will let those of you who are comment more on it. But there is some follow-up information in the Kabbalion. It was originally published in 1908 by the three initiates that purports to convey the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, also known as Thoth. While it shares with ancient and medieval Hermetic texts a number of traits such as philosophical mentalism, the concept of as above, so below, and the idea that everything consists of gendered polar opposites, as a whole, it is more indebted to the ideas of modern occultist authors, especially those of the New Thought movement. A modern Hermetic tract, it has been widely influential in New Age circles since the 20th century. So there's this information from Thoth, very alchemical and esoteric information, possibly coming from non-human sources. Other material possibly derived from aliens or other dimensionals is the Seth material. This was channeled by a human, but possibly the information is coming from, again, the beings. The Seth material is a collection of writing dictated by Jane Roberts to her husband from late 1963 until her death in 1984. Roberts claimed the words were spoken by a discarnate entity named Seth. The material is regarded as one of the cornerstones of New Age philosophy and the most influential channel text of post-World War II New Age movement after the Edgar Cayce books and A Course in Miracles. I have a friend that's really, really into A Course in Miracles. John Climo writes that the Seth books were instrumental in bringing the idea of channeling to a broad public audience. And the core teachings of the Seth material are based on the principle that consciousness creates matter, that each person creates his or her own reality through thoughts, beliefs, and expectations, and that the point of power through which the individual can effect change is in the present moment. It discusses a wide range of metaphysical concepts, including the nature of God, the origins of the universe, the nature of the self and the higher self, the story of Christ, the evolution of the soul, and aspects of death and rebirth, including reincarnation, karma, past lives, and after-death experiences, guardian spirits, and ascension to planes of higher consciousness, the purpose of life, the nature of good and evil, the purpose of suffering, multi-dimensional reality, parallel lives, and transpersonal realms. Sounds fascinating. I have always meant to read the Seth Material. I have read a lot about the books of Seth, but I have not actually taken the time to sit down to read them. So if you have, let me know your thoughts on them in the comments below. There is also, of course, the raw material. An ancient astronaut speaks, the Law of One. I've read a lot about the Law of One. I've listened to a lot of experiencer accounts, and some of the beings will actually reference the Law of One. Experience a mind-bending journey with the raw material, a groundbreaking book that delves deep into the mysteries surrounding ancient astronauts and their relationship to Earth. Unveiling the secrets of their arrival and their imminent return, this book poses important questions about the role they played in the formation of past and present civilizations, their involvement in the creation of monumental antiquities, through 2 decades of rigorous experimentations with telepathy. The authors have unlocked the doors to communication with these ET beings, culminating in a breakthrough contact that is chronicled in this volume, with over 200 pages, etc., etc. So there you go. The raw material is well regarded, and again, even ETs seem to reference this fascinating material from Raw. The, as it says, humble messenger of the Law of One. So yeah, all of these are various ET texts possibly handed down by the beings. So let me know what you think about all of that in the comments below. I hope you guys are all having a terrific New Year and that you had a great New Year's Eve and that you're looking forward to 2024. I think the idea that beings may have been interacting with humans for a long time, not just using us and abducting us and taking us and doing things to us, but actually trying to pass on valuable wisdom and insights, even esoteric knowledge and spiritual information is just fascinating, but also trying to help us shape our society so that we conduct law and business fairly is just amazing. Trying to help us spiritually and also socially. I think that's fascinating and, in fact, very possible. And there seems to be some evidence to suggest that is true. I tend to believe it. But, you know, that's just me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Happy New Year from Cosmic Road. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big like and thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, all that kind of good stuff. Find me on social media. Support the channel by becoming a member. See the link below. And there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.